Hello, everyone. My name is Irina. I am a lawyer from Poland. Today, I want to share a story with you. It is about my first dinner with the man I liked. But something strange happened that evening. Have you ever been in a situation where you didn't know why someone was upset with you? Or maybe you went to a restaurant with your boyfriend and you wondered, who should pay? Should I pay my part? Should he pay everything? Or should I pay the whole bill? There is no one rule for everyone. People from different cultures have different ideas about these things. Sometimes, these differences can cause problems. Let me tell you my story. I met İlki at a party last month. He is from Turkey, and he works for a technology company. I liked him because he was kind and smart. He has a warm smile and beautiful eyes. At the party, we talked about many things. He told me about his job. He works with computers and helps people communicate better. I told him about my job as a lawyer. We laughed a lot and found many things in common. İlki told me he loves cooking. He said, "Cooking is like magic. You mix things and suddenly you have something delicious." I smiled and said, "I am not very good at cooking. Maybe you can teach me someday." Before the party ended, he asked me, "Would you like to have dinner with me?" I said, "Yes, I would love to." We planned to meet at a nice restaurant in the city. I was so excited to see him again. The restaurant was beautiful. It was small but very cozy. There were candles on each table, and soft music was playing in the background. The lights were warm, making the room feel magical. The air smelled like fresh bread and delicious food. When I arrived, İlki was already waiting. He stood up when he saw me and smiled warmly. "You look amazing, Irina," he said. His words made me blush. "Thank you, İlki. You look very nice too," I replied. We sat at a small table by the window. Outside, we could see the lights of the city. It was a perfect view for our first dinner together. The waiter came with the menus, and we started looking at the options. İlki asked, "What do you like to eat?" "I love pasta," I said. "I think I'll have the seafood pasta." "What about you?" "I'll have the steak," he said. I can never say no to a good steak. We placed our orders and started talking. İlki asked me about my work. "What is it like to be a lawyer?" "It sounds very exciting," he said. I smiled and said, "Sometimes it is exciting, but it can also be stressful. I work on big cases, and I have to be very careful. But I love my job. It makes me feel strong and independent." He nodded. "I can see that. You are very confident. I like that about you." His compliment made me smile. I asked him about his job. "What do you do in your company?" He explained, "I work with a team that helps people connect better. We build technology for communication. It's a little complicated, but I love it. It feels good to solve problems and help people." "That sounds amazing," I said. "Do you like working with technology?" "Yes," he said. "But sometimes I think about starting my own company. I want to create something special, something that helps the world." I could see the passion in his eyes. It made me like him even more. The waiter brought our food. My pasta smelled like garlic and fresh herbs. İlki's steak looked perfect, with golden fries on the side. "This looks so good," I said. "Yes," he agreed. "Let's enjoy." We started eating, and the food was delicious. I told Ilkay, "This pasta is amazing. Would you like to try it?" "Sure," he said, and I gave him a small bite. "It's really good," he said. "Do you want to try my steak?" "Okay," I said, and he cut a small piece for me. It was juicy and full of flavor. As we ate, Ilkay asked, "What did you think of me when we first met?" I laughed. "I thought you were very polite and kind, and I liked how you made everyone laugh at the party." He smiled. "I like to make people happy. And you? What do you think people think of you when they first meet you?" I thought for a moment and said, "Maybe they think I'm serious because of my job. But when they know me better, they see I'm not so serious. I like to have fun too." He nodded. "I thought you were very confident and smart, but also you have a kind heart. I could see it when you talked to everyone at the party." His words made me feel warm inside. I was starting to like him more and more. We also talked about our dreams. I told him, "One day, I want to travel the world. I want to see new places and meet new people." "That's a wonderful dream," he said. "Where would you go first?" "Maybe Japan," I said. "I love their culture." "What about you? What is your dream?" He smiled and said, "I want to make something that changes people's lives. Maybe a new kind of technology. Something that makes life easier for everyone." "That's a big dream," I said. "Yes," he said, "but I believe in dreaming big." We laughed and talked about so many things that evening. It felt like we had known each other for years. Ilkay was easy to talk to, and I felt happy and comfortable with him. When the waiter brought the bill, the mood suddenly changed. The waiter approached our table with a small leather folder in his hand. He placed it gently on the table and said, "Here is your bill. Take your time." Ilkay and I both reached for it at the same time. Our hands brushed slightly, and I smiled. "You can look," I said, pulling my hand back. Ilkay opened the folder and looked at the total. Then, without hesitation, he reached into his pocket and took out his wallet. At the same time, I opened my purse. I quickly found some cash and placed it neatly on the table. Ilkay looked at me, surprised. "You don't have to," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Let me take care of it." I smiled politely and said, "No, it's okay. I always pay my part." He hesitated for a moment, then nodded slowly. "All right," he said, though his expression changed. His warm smile faded into something more reserved. I didn't notice. For me, everything was normal. I slid my share of the money closer to him and said, "Here you go. Thank you for organizing this dinner. It was wonderful." Ilkay didn't say much after that. He put the cash into the folder, added his own, and called the waiter over to take it. As we walked out of the restaurant, the air between us felt different. I didn't understand why. The evening had been perfect, hadn't it? We strolled down the street, the city lights glowing softly around us. I felt happy and relaxed, but Ilkay seemed quieter now. He walked beside me, his hands in his pockets, looking thoughtful. After a few minutes, he stopped and turned to me. "Irina," he said, his voice kind but distant, "I had a great time tonight." "Thank you." I blinked, confused. "Thank you too," I said. "I thought we might." But before I could finish, he smiled and said, "Good night." And just like that, he walked away. I stood there for a moment, watching him disappear into the night. My heart sank a little. Why did he leave so suddenly? Did I say something wrong? As I walked home, my mind was full of questions. Was it something I did? Was he upset? He had been so charming all evening, but now he seemed distant. When I reached my apartment, I sat on the couch, replaying the evening in my head. Everything had been perfect until the bill came. Could that be it? No, I thought. That doesn't make sense. I told myself not to worry. Maybe he was just tired. Maybe tomorrow, everything would feel normal again. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had gone wrong. The following morning, I woke up still thinking about Ilkay. His sudden goodbye replayed in my mind like a puzzle I couldn't solve. I got ready for work, hoping a busy day would help me forget. At the university, I saw my friend Sebda waiting for me in the staff lounge. Sebda was always cheerful and full of energy, and just seeing her brought a smile to my face. "Good morning, Irina. How was your big dinner last night?" she asked, raising an eyebrow playfully. I hesitated, then sighed. It was good, I think. But something strange happened. Sebda leaned forward, intrigued. Strange? Tell me everything. I told her the whole story, from the warm conversation Ilkay and I had at the restaurant to his sudden goodbye. I even described the moment with the bill. When I finished, Sebda sat back, thinking. She said, tapping her chin. You said you paid your part of the bill? I nodded confidently. Of course. I always do. It's normal for me. Why should he pay for both of us? Sebda tilted her head. Well, in some cultures, like here in Turkey, it's common for the man to insist on paying during a date, especially the first one. It's seen as a way to show care and respect. I frowned, confused. But I didn't refuse to let him pay. I only paid my share. Isn't that respectful too? Sebda smiled gently. For you, yes. But for Ilkay, it might have felt different. Maybe he thought you weren't serious about the relationship. Or maybe he thought you were treating the dinner as something casual, not romantic. I stared at her, shocked. But that's not true. I really like him. I thought the evening was perfect. Sebda nodded. I know. But sometimes, these little cultural differences can create misunderstandings. I sat back, feeling a mix of frustration and sadness. So, what should I do now? Should I call him and explain? Sebda shook her head gently. Give him some time. If he likes you as much as you like him, he'll come around. And next time, maybe you can talk about these things before they become an issue. As I walked back to my office, Sebda's words echoed in my mind. I hadn't considered how different our cultures could be. To me, paying my part of the bill was normal, expected even. But to Ilkay, it might have meant something else entirely. I sighed. Relationships weren't just about liking someone. They were about understanding them, too. That evening, as I sat alone in my apartment, I wrote a message to Ilkay. It wasn't an apology. I didn't think I'd done anything wrong, but it was an attempt to clear the air. Hi, Ilkay, I wrote. I had a wonderful time last night. I hope I didn't say or do anything to upset you. If I did, it wasn't my intention. I hesitated before hitting send. Would he reply? Or had I already ruined everything? A few days passed before I heard from Ilkay. I had almost given up hope when his message appeared on my phone. Hi, Irina. I've been thinking about our dinner. Would you like to meet again and talk? I feel there's something we should clear up. My heart raced as I read his words. A mix of relief and nervousness washed over me. Of course, I replied quickly. When and where? We agreed to meet at a cozy cafe near the university. It was a warm, sunny afternoon, and the light streaming through the windows gave the place a cheerful glow. Ilkay was already there when I arrived, sitting at a corner table. Hi, I said, smiling as I sat down. Hi, he replied, his expression soft but serious. Thank you for meeting me. After some small talk, Ilkay took a deep breath. Irina, I want to talk about what happened the other night at the restaurant. I nodded, my hands tightening around my coffee cup. Yes, I've been thinking about it too. He smiled faintly. First, I want you to know that I had a wonderful time with you. I enjoyed our conversation, and I felt we connected. So did I said quickly. That's why I've been so confused about what went wrong. Ilkay hesitated before continuing. When the bill came, I had planned to pay for everything. In my culture, especially on a first date, it's common for the man to take care of the bill. It's not just about money. It's a way of showing care and respect. I felt a pang of guilt as I listened. I see, I said softly, but for me, it's about independence. I've always paid my share because I don't want anyone to feel obligated. It's how I was raised. He nodded thoughtfully. I understand that now. But at the time, it felt unexpected. I didn't know how to interpret it. I thought maybe you didn't see the evening the same way I did. I stared at him, realizing how much misunderstanding had grown from such a small moment. Ilkay, I never meant to offend you. I didn't know this was important to you. To me, it was just normal. I know, he said with a kind smile. And I see now that it's not about who pays or how much. It's about understanding each other. We sat in silence for a moment, both absorbing the conversation. Finally, I spoke. Ilkay, I really like you. I don't want something small like this to get in the way of what could be a great relationship. His smile widened, and I could see the warmth return to his eyes. I feel the same way, and maybe next time we can talk about these things beforehand. I laughed softly. Agreed. No more surprises at the dinner table. We spent the rest of the afternoon talking, our conversation flowing as naturally as it had the first time. By the end, the tension from the misunderstanding had melted away, replaced by a sense of connection even stronger than before. As we walked out of the cafe, Ilkay turned to me with a playful smile. So, where should we go for our next dinner? And don't worry, I'll let you pay for dessert. I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in days. Deal. But only if you let me choose the restaurant. Deal, he said with a wink. We walked side by side, our footsteps in sync, ready to start over with a clearer understanding of each other. As I walked home after my second meeting with Ilkay, I felt a sense of clarity. It was amazing how a simple conversation could resolve such a big misunderstanding. It reminded me that relationships, no matter how exciting, are also about learning and growing together. When I arrived home, I sat down at my desk, opened my journal, and started writing. Have you ever thought about how traditions shape our expectations in relationships? In countries like Turkey, where Ilki comes from, and even in places like Iran, men often see themselves as protectors and providers. It's a part of their culture, and it's not just about money or power, it's about care and respect. But this way of thinking can sometimes create challenges, especially in today's world. Many women, like me, value independence and equality. We're used to managing things on our own and contributing equally in relationships. These cultural differences aren't bad, they're just different. And they're changing too. With modern ideas of equality, people are starting to find new ways of balancing traditions with shared responsibilities. What about you? How do you and your partner handle situations like this? Do you follow traditional roles, or do you split everything equally? I'd love to hear your thoughts. After all, sharing stories is how we learn from each other.